Okay, right now we're doing an interview with Melanie Smith, and it's an interesting story. It's actually you actually have very interesting, what you do is interesting, and it's from what I've read in, online and on the information that's here, it's definitely, you're passionate about what you do.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anything I'm going to be involved with, I'm going to give all of my efforts, and I wouldn't sign up for anything unless I did feel that it was very, very strong and something that I am doing from the heart.
Okay. Now, did you start with yoga, or?
I did. I started with yoga. I became a yoga teacher about 2 years ago, and I've been actively teaching, affiliated with a group called Yoga in Action. It's a community-based, roots deep into the Lehigh Valley through a larger organization called Off the Mat into the World. And through Yoga in Action, we kind of put that yoga, our service, and what we're passionate about into actual action by getting into the community, getting into like a larger fundraiser type thing.
Okay. Now, how did you get interested in yoga?
That's interesting. So I've always enjoyed yoga. I started just getting into it by doing videos, videos of people who I couldn't even do the poses back then. So back when I was in high school.
I've seen some of those. Yoga is something that I'm flexible, not that flexible.
Yeah. Well, I've come a long way since then. But I really got into yoga more because I was doing social work for the state of New Jersey, and I was doing child abuse and neglect investigations, and that is can be very dark. And I was coming home from work, and I would be driving home crying from the things that I'd seen, and just didn't have an outlet to let it go. And I kind of dove into yoga a little bit more because I was doing it sporadically, and that just gave me a little bit more of a reason to go, because I was finding that space for myself. I was able to do an hour and 15-minute class and leave those feelings of worry and anxiety and dread behind, at least for that hour and 15 minutes.
Basically, escape from the world and life for that time.
It was more just being in the present moment, and okay, I can put aside those things to give myself a little bit of time to heal, or even to just relax, even if it was for an hour and 15. And then whatever came after I got off of my mat, it would be there.
Okay.
And that's fine.
Now, this one is totally different, totally different than you expect. For the skeptics out there as far as yoga goes, I've seen it, what you just said, from what I've seen, does it truly help you like regain your balance and does it and actually achieve the peace, like the inner peace that you always see with all the different? Does it actually help you do that for all the for the skeptics out there?
Skeptics, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that I teach level 1-2 classes. I teach level 2 classes. I teach restorative yoga, and people come to the mat for different reasons. They might come for a physical injury. They might come they got a gift certificate, and someone said, do yoga, it helps. But then there's people who come to the mat because, like I did, like they need some type of healing. And I have people in my class who, they'll go through a practice, we get into the end of class, and they're on their mat, they're on their back, and they're in Shavasana, which is corpse pose, and you're not doing anything, you're lying there. And in those moments, you kind of can't escape yourself. It's you, your mat, your breath. And in those moments, people are able to kind of connect with themselves. And that might sound mysterious and a little bit more hopeful.
To some people, maybe, to others not.
Yeah.
We're constantly being bombarded. I'm up till, sometimes up till all hours of the night, infomercial hell.
Yeah.
Where you see, we're constantly now being bombarded with how we're supposed to get in touch with ourselves, find the balance. Just to some people, yes, some others not. No.
Yeah. I think that, I think if you're able, and I think it comes with time, that you can find that peace. I think you can achieve that peace. I see people in restorative yoga that's the hardest space for them. They might be a type A person where they're go, go, go. And to get them to lie still for even 5 minutes, it's a struggle. Like you're constantly,
Unless I'm on a computer.
well, you're constantly moving, you're constantly fidgeting, you're thinking about the next thing. And that's where yoga, through time, and if you're focusing on your breath, that can give you that space that maybe for a second or 2 seconds, that thought that enters your mind, you can let that thought can come in and you can let it go. And then maybe that next thought might enter in a few seconds later. So that gap between thought starts to widen, right? And then you're able to kind of step into maybe a little bit of a meditative space
Okay.
for a moment.
Now, how did you get involved with the rainforest?
Well,
How did it move? I mean, I know it sounds kind of like, to some people it might sound one, would go together with the other, but to others it's like, okay, yoga, but, to try and help save, that's kind of something totally, a little different.
yeah, so before the rainforest, before my decision to jump in and say, okay, I'm going to raise $20,000 for the Amazon rainforest, for a place I've never been, for people who I don't know personally, who have no connection to me. My decision came from the fact that I watched some of my mentors in yoga go through this transitional process of teaming up with Off the Mat into the world. And through Off the Mat, they were able to do these leadership programs where they became fundraisers themselves. And I stepped in a little bit and assisted them with fundraising and saw, okay, I can do this as well. This is something where I think I might excel, or I might have some skills that are useful. And so every year Off the Mat does humanitarian, or this year is their first environmental fundraiser. So Off the Mat, they decide as a whole, okay, there's a need somewhere, and we're going to do what we can, because the yoga community is a community of people who are very passionate, who are very willing to step out of their comfort zone and take on things that someone might not. Mm-hmm. So I'm very much an outdoors person. I prefer to go where there aren't a lot of people, where I can hear the birds chirp, where I can lie back in nature.
Watch the stars at night.
Yeah, and just absolutely just be connected. I'm of the opinion that we are all connected. We are all made of the same material, the same matter, and everything has a value. And I don't think that a tree or a person living in the Amazon is any less important than someone here or than $100,000. I think money is overrun our society for sure. And
it's amazing how fast you can have it all and then lose it all.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's what's important to you. Like,
yeah, but I'm saying, as far as money and material things go,
yeah,
it's amazing how fast you think you could have it all, and then how fast, guess what, it's gone.
Yeah, well, there is an importance to being able to live and to survive. Unfortunately, the gap in income and the gap in economic status for a lot of us has grown substantially in the last few years, and a lot of people are struggling. I live paycheck to paycheck.
Well,
That's just
look at
how
when
things are.
Look at when the stock market and the economy crashed. How many people went from rich to those nice houses and cars? Guess what?
And that to me is a little bit of an illusion.
Yeah.
It's what do you want to get out of your life? And that's kind of why I stepped into yoga and stepped into Off the Mat, because it's what do I want to get out of life? Like, yeah, I can make a great salary, and I do. I live okay. But I think that there's more to that. There's more than driving to work and doing that 9 to 5 every day, like you lose some of yourself and some of that outwardly view of the world when you just say, this is my life, this is what I'm going to do every day. It might be that I haven't found something that in my 9 to 5 that I'm 100% passionate about. But I'm very passionate about yoga and about raising the $20,000 for the Amazon.
Okay. Now remember how I said I'm going to ask you one question that's going to completely catch you off guard.
Okay.
In today's, with all the technology we have, okay, and this is going off a post that did on Facebook, but I thought about it logically. You know, I thought about things logically before I stated it. It could be said that yes, we should save our planet, but maybe we should also put as much resources into, because of our population keeps expanding, to exploring other worlds, like kickstarting NASA again, doing the entire. It's okay.
It's okay. Thank you guys. Okay, next time. Okay.
You know, like the Matrix was not too far off a true virtual world which the species could live in. There are other ways, like developing hydroponics. What would you say to people who have those trains of thought? I mean, like I say, it's important to save our planet.
Yeah.
But we also have where, okay, because of the constantly expanding population and the constantly expanding need for resources, that I apologize for taking the other side.
No, it's fine. I think that one of the things that I think is most important, whether it's this planet or if we were to go to somewhere else, we have to live sustainably. There has to be a sustainable way for us to support what we already have. And I think we have to find stability or sustainability on our planet before we were to go somewhere else. Because what would be the point of us, okay, so we've trashed this place, now we're going to move on because the resources that we need to survive here, we were unwilling to find sustainable resource to maintain our life here on a planet that is so delicate that it gives life to thousands upon thousands of different species of plants and animals. I think it's selfish for us, in a sense, to say, okay, I'm going to go to Mars or I'm going to go to somewhere else because I can't do this here anymore. I think that if we have the technology to go and find a different place to live, we have the technology to support life here in sustainable means. And I think the practice of hydroponics, and I think the ability to grow our own vegetables and grow our own food in that manner, as long as it's a healthy way to do it, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I think that that's just achieving another way of us to live, because we're going to have to adapt. We just had the polar vortex, and in Australia, in the Western Hemisphere, they're going through an incredible heat wave, where it's 113 degrees.
Look at the summer and winter we had, in 2013, where we've had it in the past here in the Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania area, but the heat index topped over 110 back in July, and 6 months later, guess what? We just got hit with negative degree temperatures for a couple of days. So
yeah,
it almost seems like Now, would you agree with? I watch Sci-Fi Channel.
Okay.
And
I kind of guessed that from the question.
Well, it's some of that, but I've also learned science and everything. So it's what I ask is actually based on logic, and I just figured I had to throw in a little bit of the corporate mentality there.
Yeah.
But as far as if we would continue to destroy the rainforest, if we would continue to drill in the oceans and everything, what people laugh is the natural disaster science fiction movies. it's possible that nature could strike back.
I think in a sense, we're shooting ourselves in the foot very much because I think that the planet is kind of giving us these warnings and saying like, listen, you know, above all else, I'm in control because we can build whatever we want to build, but you could have some superstorm, you could have a typhoon, you could have a super earthquake, you could have a super volcano, an asteroid could come from the sky and wipe us all out. There's a falsehood that we have this control over our environment because we don't. We are nothing more than a species that has evolved consciousness more than an ant, right? Ants build colonies. They're out searching for food. You know, we have to get away from the mindset that we are something so much greater than everything else that is alive on our planet. Because the truth of the matter is we're all connected, and without one, the other doesn't exist.
Okay, for the last question, we're going to switch gears again just because I can naturally do that so fast.
Okay.
I heard you mention something about, what is it, paddleboard yoga?
Yeah.
That's something, I'm not sure how many people have even heard of that. What exactly is that?
Okay, so
And do you have to know how to swim for it?
You should know how to swim.
That leaves me out. That leaves me out.
I would prefer if I'm taking you out that you do know how to swim because we are going out in water, and you know I am certified in CPR and first aid. So
It's always nice not to have to use it though, right?
yeah. So if you were to fall above your head, you are unconscious. I can help you. But paddleboarding is something that started in Hawaii many, many years ago that the fishermen used to get from one island to another without having to build a boat. Laird Hamilton made it famous a few years back, and he's kind of been the pioneer with it. If anyone doesn't know him, he's one of the most impressive watermen that exists on our planet today. Some people like him, some people hate him. But paddleboard yoga is basically a longboard surfboard that is just a little bit bigger. It's shaped a little bit different than an actual surfboard. It's designed to float on top of the water. The ones that I ride are 11 foot, 2 inches long, about 31 inches wide. And I got started with paddleboarding. I went to St. John and stayed in an eco tent for a while. And the water's very calm there, so instead of surfing, people paddleboard. You stand up on the oversized surfboard, and you have your paddle, and you're stroking to the left, stroke to the right, and it's beautiful. It's actually very relaxing. Because I teach yoga, I combine the two. I'm not the first person to do this by any means. There's some really impressive women who are ahead of me who I've learned from. But I go out to Round Valley, Reservoir, New Jersey, Lake Nappanixon. We take them on the Lehigh River, and I can teach a paddleboard class. I just taught paddleboard yoga in Aruba, which is pretty awesome. It's actually very fun. You work your core, you're working your shoulders, you're working your feet. It's a great workout. Some people have transitioned it into, you can do Pilates on the paddleboards. There's different water. I've seen people do different things on the paddleboards. I've seen people fish off of their paddleboard.
Now that one actually makes the most sense to me. Although I wouldn't want to hook a big one on a paddleboard.
So it is something that's really cool. I've been teaching it now for about 2 years. Last year I went to Long Island and trained with a woman who she was an Olympic windsurfer, or was attempting to be an Olympic windsurfer. And she is just an amazing water woman who taught me a lot of skills about how to take my yoga and incorporate that onto the water. So it's a growing, the East Coast is very much, I'm a brand ambassador for Self-Love paddleboards. And the East Coast is driving the paddleboard business right now because we don't have waves like they do in Hawaii or out west. So here it's something that we can do from basically late April to, like, we paddled up until September this year.
Yeah, after that the water gets a little too chilly, right?
After that, the water is way too cold. With the proper wetsuit, it's manageable, but you don't want to be
Why go for frostbite if you don't have to, right? Well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. I apologize if it ran a little longer than planned, but it's a style I do.
It's okay.
So, and again, thank you for understanding when I took the corporate side of on
Yeah.
that one question. Thank you for understanding.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, thank you very much.